See how Kongdu Monster wants to start this off. They banned the Rumble. BBQ, knowing that Roach doesn't play Camille and Rumble's already being banned, they might just target Kongdu here. And that's what they're doing with the Zyra. Now Kongdu will probably ban the Malzahar.
Nautilus ban next.
No, they'll probably just stay standard. You ready now? I said that they shouldn't ban Camille, but there it is. There's the highlight.
That means they give either Nautilus or Greaves over to Kongdu.
Well, Kongdu show that they want the Nautilus as they're highlighting the Shen, so they ban that away.
Like,
now,
sir, can I have Nautilus?
The predicament that BBQ's in is, do you ban Nautilus or Graves?
I don't think you want to give Roach Nautilus again. It just seems too strong. He's very good on the tank champs top, as you were saying. Take another one away from him. Take a very strong pick away from him, and have Punch play the Graves. You can deal with the Graves instead.
They're gonna first pick the Graves, and now BBQ. Oh, wait a second. They swap,
and they lock it.
So now BBQ might be inclined to actually take the Graves.
I would expect them to.
They're highlighting Ezreal. Almost certainly be accompanied by Graves. Okay. So they're highlighting it. Probably gonna lock that in for Bless, although he doesn't seem the most optimistic about it.
I mean, he looked pretty good on it in game 2. Just farming it up. I think you just have to take this here for BBQ.
The only issue about the red side Graves that's going to be different is that normally red side Graves has more mid and top centric play style attached with it, and you're not really going to find much success up in the top lane when Roach is going to be on his tank champion, whatever it's going to be. It's not coming yet, but it will. On the blue side, able to play so defensively. Kongdu going to hover the Elise, probably going to lock that in as a response to the Graves, but it's not the best feeling in the world. Graves is in a tier of his own right now in the jungle. The only god tier champion, I think, in the game right now.
Yeah. Why do you think that Punch is not playing Lee Sin into the Graves? Or just not playing Lee Sin in general?
Well, Lee Sin is a pretty volatile champion, and if he would pick Lee Sin right here, then it puts a lot of pressure on him, and we've seen that he hasn't been having the best of nights.
Oh yeah.
Kongdu now highlight and lock in the Maokai. So there's the tank champion for Roach up in the top lane. BBQ could just pick a support here. Instead, they highlight Cassiopeia.
Okay, they're gonna lock that in. And now the last thing I want to see is Syndra on the side of Kongdu. Don't do it, Edge. We are going to go into the ban phase first, of course.
BBQ might look to ban away like Ori, because the Maokai and Elise are selected for Kongdu. Take that away from Edge, just take away synergy. But also because the Orianna is well matched against the Cassiopeia. Now when you're Kongdu Monster, you want to basically just focus primarily probably on the top lane and make sure that Roach gets a matchup that he's comfortable with, the Kennen being banned away. Now BBQ, if they really want to, they could ban Lulu here, and then they can hit Karma and let Kongdu respond with Nami. Or they could pick top laner, let Kongdu select Karma, and then they respond with Nami. Instead, they're hovering a Jace and banning it away.
They don't want to have the Cassiopeia into Jace matchup happen. And now taking away another top laner in the Gragas is Kongdu Monster. Let's see what BBQ wants to first pick now in the second phase. We were talking about Fizz, they heard us.
They heard us, Brendan.
Are they really going to play it here? Both of these teams have been trolling with the hovers so far. It's down to the wire. They're going to lock it in. We are going to be seeing Fizz here for BBQ in the top lane. Take Fizz, here we go. I can just hear the dripping excitement in your voice, LS.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Crazy can do with it. It is on the red side. It's more difficult to really make plays and set things up as a red side Fizz. And Kongdu now actually locking in the Talia. Now they have to choose their final pick. It's going to be Karma or Lulu most likely. There's the Lulu hover. Gonna have a lot of synergy with the Maokai and Elise. And what this probably means is that BBQ select the Karma.
Pair it down with Ezreal in the bot lane. And it looks like hovering Nami for now. Will they go ahead and lock that in or switch it to Karma?
They want to give Fizz a tidal wave to ride. That's what's going on. And they lock in Nami, so...
They want the disengage against what Kongdu Monster has.
No.
No?
No.
You're not feeling it?
The Nami pick doesn't fit, Brendan. It just doesn't fit. It gives the disengage, but Karma would have offered the same thing. And when you have a team composition that's designed to go in and then be slippery inside of the Arcane Drift and the quick draw on Graves, you don't really need the tidal wave for that purpose. And so the Karma shield and the movement speed being able to be both an engage and disengage is highly more flexible, and the damage output that she can come with would be better paired in the bottom lane against that Lucian Lulu dynamic. So the drafts are super wonky. It's hard to say actually who's actually going to be ahead. Feels like Kongdu gets the better end of this, although Roach is attacked because his itemization is going to be very difficult against that team composition of BBQ, and they all have the exact type of damage that is good against Maokai, the sustained periodic damage able to wither him down rather than be a burst-centric champion, go into his HP, then he heals all the way back up and reduces all of your damage from your burst. So last team composition, Fizz, Graves, Cassiopeia, Ezreal, and Nami for BBQ.
Yes, that is Fizz. That is coming up in the top lane against Maokai. Let's see what Crazy can do. It is going to be that bunny Fizz. So let's see how it goes down, guys. We're going to jump into game number 3 right away here between Kongdu Monster and BBQ. We'll see who will take the win tonight. Will it be Kongdu? Will it be BBQ? They're trying to live up to the legend.
Yeah,
it's not working.
They just can't. So this game is gonna be interesting because the BBQ team composition has a lot of early game potency where if they get ahead, they can snowball really hard. If they get behind, they're not entirely out of it because of the Graves and the Ezreal can really just hold on for the Cassiopeia. And then if they make it to late game, the Cassiopeia and the Ezreal kick in with the Graves. And so it's just very thin. There's small timing periods where their team composition becomes inherently weaker than the opponents. And so it's going to be on Kongdu to make use of that, and with the type of Baron cheeses that they love to do, and quick opportunity that can come with it, can really play into them. Talia is going to be super effective, though, against their team composition, as Crazy is only going to have one opportunity to really get edged out.
I've been liking to watch this Talia. Tempt is going so aggressive in this matchup at level 1. And we're taking a look in bot lane to see, oh, now we're looking at mid. Edge shooting back. Definitely like the fact that we're not seeing the Syndra this time around.
Instead, we'll see how this matchup unfolds. And the bottom lane matchup is also going to be extremely interesting. The Lucian Lulu versus the Ezreal Nami. Nami going to be a little bit more vulnerable than the Karma would be. But it's not the end of the world. You can notice that Ghost actually chose for the longsword and potions. He knew that he would be in a sustain war. And because Soul knows that he has the edge in the matchup, he actually just takes the Doran's Blade as he's in the driver's seat. He can constantly keep auto-attacking. Ghost is not going to be as fortunate getting constantly shoved in, and Soul having the luxury of choosing when he wants to trade with his EQ.
See how top lane's going so far. Crazy pushing that one in. Having a rough time farming so far as Roach. You'd have to imagine this is not a matchup that he plays very often. Going up against Fizz as Maokai.
Matchup definitely favors Fizz. But if Maokai can get a kill, everything just goes the complete other way. If Fizz gets a kill, the matchup basically for the most part stays the same. The pressure and threat of, you know, an all-in obviously greatly increases, but it's a very weird dynamic that one kill or assist just shifts it into a position where Fizz can't really do much.
Yeah, that's why I always, whenever anyone picks Fizz in my solo queue games, I'm like, well, I hope you know what you're doing. Because if he gets behind, it just feels like super useless champion. But I suppose in this game, it's going to be that tanky top Fizz. Well, we'll have to wait and see exactly how he itemizes. Punch is coming into mid, looking for a potential gank here onto Tempt. Tempt, though, does have that cleanse, so even if the Cocoon is landed, it's going to be a bit hard to actually make that work. You can see he doesn't actually go towards mid. Roach is having trouble here once again up in top. He's keeping up, though, in the CS. He's not getting too far behind. You would have to expect that the Maokai is going to get behind, especially early on.
Thus far, Tempt has quite a sizable CS lead. We'll see, though, what Edge can actually pick up from that mid lane wave. And both the junglers with, again, basically no interaction across the board. Soul in that bottom lane matchup ahead a little bit. And I feel like the bottom lane focus will probably be the main thing that decides how the mid-game transition is going to go. We've seen what happens if Soul can get ahead and get comfortable with certain itemization leads over his opponent. First dragon of the game, by the way, is Cloud Drake, so not the most exciting dragon. So probably not going to see any action centered around that too early. And just like in previous games, going to be an opportunistic Drake.
Yeah, for sure. And if you look at bottom lane once again, I'm very excited to see what Soul can do on the Lucian that they first picked for him. Definitely Soul, one of the main carries for this team. Him and Tempt, or rather, him and Edge. Definitely trying to do that work. He always, I think he's the AD carry I've described most as going man mode. Hold that thought. A Cocoon lands onto Bless. He finds him in the jungle. This is going to be very hard to get away from. The flash into the blasting plant, though, will do the trick. He will survive.
Still a huge victory for Punch, though. Getting the flash off of Bless is gigantic. He's also going to potentially reward himself with the Krugs, which is one of Graves' favorite camps. Mid actually caught back up in CS, and top not super far behind, about 10, but as to be expected in a bully matchup.
Oh, and Crazy is forcing this fight. Does hop his way out of there. Not really going to be under too much pressure unless he goes all in and punches nearby. Mid lane looks very even right now. Not really too far ahead, just 3 CS in the mid lane as Tempt ahead. Both of these guys do build the Negatron first. Oh boy, that flash coming on out there, really nice engage, and first blood given over to the Cassiopeia in the mid lane.
And that was a really great setup from BBQ. They know that both bottom lanes just reset, but Kongdu had the leg up over them, and so it's likely that Guger is going to go and try to establish vision control before returning down to bottom lane, as there's no real incentive to just get there immediately. So intelligently, Tempt and Bless just waiting for that, and they take advantage of it.
Really cool to see the mechanics on some of the better Cassiopeia players too. We're going to get another look.
So you can see that this is being waited for. They know that Guger is going to arrive to River way faster than Totoro. And Tempt didn't really have too much to lose, even if Guger doesn't show up there.
Oh, Tempt, he does have that cleanse, but the Cocoon does miss. Outputting that damage, trying to do that 1v2 Cassiopeia work. They're not able to pick up the kill onto Tempt.
It's putting tons of pressure on this mid lane right now, and Ed just trying to do his best to farm and repel the waves.
Soul trying to go 1v2. Actually wins out on the trade. Can't help but think that a Karma would have helped out a little bit more in that trade.
Well, bottom lane is a little bit behind. It's about 10 CS. Soul still a little bit ways away, though, from getting his Blade of the Ruin King. It's 10 minutes. So normally we would begin to see some ward coverage setup or potential top lane teleports and maybe some focus on Dragon, but not yet. However, with Punch having no left side jungle, clearing out that Scuttle Crab for his top and mid laners, he's forced to transition onto the right-hand side of the map right now. With the amount of pressure being exerted in bottom, Kongdu could look for a Dragon capture if they really wanted to.
BBQ ahead right now about 600 gold. Just the small advantages in CS, but also the first blood going in their direction. You can see up in top, because Roach did go for the cloak there, he wasn't able to get that the extra 1 or 2 even sometimes Doran's ring, so running out of mana pretty heavily up in top as he needs to use those abilities to farm against the Fizz. Ghost going really aggressive there. Soul getting pretty low. This will open up Bless to go for this Dragon, but he is spotted. Will Punch attempt to make a play over there? It doesn't look like it. He's not even heading that way. He's like, yeah, it's a Cloud Drake, whatever. Whatever, man. If you want to waste your time taking that one, I'll go do something else.
He's going to pick it up for his team, and as non-ideal of a Drake capture as it is, it's still going to help out Bless move around the map a little bit. And Crazy later on, if he tries to set up any plays for his teams.
Oh, these two junglers are going to run into each other. Bless not trying to start that fight, just clears out the ward. So next Drake is going to be Mountain Drake, so we definitely could see some fighting around that area this time around. Definitely will be pretty nice, especially if BBQ can get it, because they have that Cassiopeia. So Mountain Drake, blue buff Cassiopeia can shred objectives, such as the Baron.
They can pick that up. It certainly would make taking the Baron a lot easier, although Crazy is going tank Fizz, so it's not like they're going to be completely without a tank, as if Crazy had gone AP or full AD or something, but it's probably just going to be the tank AD Fizz variation. Spirit Passage already completed. It's going to be super effective against the 4 sources of magic damage on Kongdu's team. And I mean, Edge is at level 10. We haven't seen one use or desire to use Weaver's Wall yet. And this is that super ultra passive early and mid game that I talked about earlier on between these two teams. And all of this is just further playing into BBQ's hands. They have double tier champions, and they have that scaling on the Ezreal and Cass and Graves. So they're completely happy to handshake on all of this. Boots of Swiftness just got picked up for Edge, by the way. Very peculiar buy.
Yeah, definitely very weird. And look at the trading that happens. It seems like Nami does a decent job in healing up a lot of that burst damage that Lucian does. And also Lucian likes to get in close. So you have that wave bounce on him too, do a bit of damage. Looking for a gank mid this time. This is totally unprotected. Edge's position is actually pushing Tempt to the left side, so it's pushing him away from where Punch is. Will this be the first use of the Weaver's Wall? Edge making his way down to bottom. Punch is coming down here, but they were spotted. They're sitting on a ward right now, and Tempt is just waiting for it. But it seems like Punch had some good sense there to check that brush.
Well, probably just going to be waiting on the next Mountain Drake to come up before any sort of action starts. Both top laners have their teleports, but neither really seems content for any playmaking to happen, and Bless just hit level 10, Punch following him, so both the junglers are keeping up with each other in terms of levels, but you can see the itemization is going to favor Bless way more than it is Punch. And now Roach up there in the top lane, forced to do a little bit of hybrid itemization because of the team comp BBQ has. So it's certainly going to put a little bit of a dent into his effectiveness in the mid game and make it that much harder for him to be of much use inside of the team fights. He's trying to roam down right now, but he's going to end up finding himself a pink ward. And it's just a giant struggle, basically, for both teams. I feel like the first major team fight is going to decide a lot in the game. If BBQ end up losing it, they're going to sit back, Jin Air style, and be content to farm up, and then Kongdu maybe tries to go for some cheeky Baron plays. But if Kongdu lose it, I feel like it's going to be the same exact story as last game.
Oh, that was close. Bless sitting on a ward doesn't realize it almost gets cocooned. And if they had been able to pick up the jungler here with a minute left until Mountain Drake spawns, would have been a nice pick off. Definitely could have netted them the Drake. You can see that Punch and Edge are just sitting in the river, just waiting for someone to brave the river, go on in, and they're looking for picks. But BBQ playing it pretty passively. Will probably wait until the Mountain Drake spawns first before they decide to go anywhere near it. That top lane CS gap is really just getting wider and wider as Roach still having trouble keeping up.
Lots of vision control fights going down right now. An extremely long laning phase. All the turrets across all the lanes still relatively okay. Bottom is at cap HP, but looks like they might get it, but Bless should be able to hold one more wave. Although Kongdu are trying to be persistent, and that should enable Ghost to get back down here and then clear out the incoming wave.
You can see that Roach is heading back, and he may look to teleport. Actually, Cougar and Edge, or rather Punch, also heading back. So Bless is just going to start this, and there's no vision around this for Kongdu. This might just be a free Mountain Drake given on over to BBQ.
BBQ gets this Mountain Drake. It opens up a lot of possibilities for them once Baron's on the field. They're going to be able to shred right through it. And it's also going to help with breaking into the base of Kongdu when Edge tries his best to just endlessly wave clear wave after wave, especially even Soul on that Lucian. Right now the gold lead is about 1.3k gold in favor of BBQ, and the majority of that is all just through CS. Mid lane up quite a lot, top up even more. And the only deficit that they're having is in bottom lane, where Soul is finding himself a nice CS advantage.
This just reminds me of that song Wave After Wave. I don't know who sings it, but it's just like wave after wave. It's what we're looking at right now. Wave after wave of minions going in. There's just not much going on, and it was kind of funny to me that Kongdu was just like, yeah, sure, go ahead and take that Mountain Drake. They really wanted to put pressure onto the turret and take it out, but they never were able to. It seems like they will get it with this wave, but look at the rotation down from Bless and Tempt. There's the tidal wave. Punch actually catches Bless, but may have gotten himself into a bit of trouble. There's the wall, though. He's going to knock Bless onto one side, forcing Tempt to flash the wall. But you can see that no kills come out of it, and the turret is still alive.
They're going to be able to pick up First Blood turret. Crazy's not going to be able to crash that wave into top soon enough and try to match them on it. So yeah, the First Blood turret's going to go over to Kongdu. Crazy will certainly pick up top tier 1 for his team. And Kongdu, now they're going to be free to open up the map and try to rotate Soul and Cougar up to top lane and get that turret out of the way as well, since Dragon's not going to be on the map for quite a while and you don't want anything to go awry around Baron. Taking a look at this replay, it was just Soul able to do so much, so slippery, and avoiding that tidal wave right there. Then on the left-hand side, you can see Temp being forced to flash over the wall. Punch followed with the repel, but didn't really commit to anything, didn't need to. They already knew that at that point they would get the First Blood turret.
Now the rotation up in the top here by Soul and Punch and Cougar. Sitting on a control ward. Bless, he really should not check that tri-brush, and he does not. He's going around to try to help out with the defense over here. Will be 3-on-3. drop a ward, gets Cocoon, but he's okay. Infernal Drake is next, by the way, so we could see another fight around that. We were expecting a challenge around Mountain Drake, but none came. Oh, punch. He misses that Cocoon. On the chase here is Bless.
Gets the flash out of punch, so still a very big victory nonetheless. And it's basically like laning phase never ended, Brendan.
Pretty much.
We're still here in laning phase.
They just switched up the lanes.
Yep.
Roach and Crazy came bot. Meanwhile, the bot lane went top. And the two junglers are just hanging around there. Crazy was never able to get that tier 1 turret. Perhaps that's part of the reason. And it seems like they should be able to get it now, as actually Kongdu is just completely seeding this.
Oh, Edge constantly under pressure and wrapped up in that mid lane. He's hugging his turret. He really just wanted to defend it this entire game. Really didn't make any use of his Weaver's wall at all.
Yeah, there was that one time where he got the flash out of Tempt, but that was it.
Yep,
I guess he got it out of Bless too, but...
So no roaming really came out of him. And now he picks up another item. He gets a control ward for himself. The main focus is going to be the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, a minute left, and they're picking up as much gold before that fight goes down as possible. They take down all the, or actually 2 of the tier 1 turrets in response. And they should be gearing up to go down there. It seems like they want to put on a defensive top lane as Punch is up. Bless making his way up with Ghost and Totoro. Even Tempt pathing up towards top. The TP coming on in. And here we go. Crazy trying to come from behind. And actually not able to get anything as Kongdu Monster do back off in time.
You saw the Edge was rotating up, but not really able to help out with anything. He just shoves in mid lane and now begins to move over to his blue. Dragon's up in 15 seconds though, and if Kongdu aren't careful, Tempt and Bless can just light that dragon up. They already have the Mountain Drake.
And here we go. Infernal Drake comes out. Immediately everybody on the map path towards it. Roach in the front. He has the teleport advantage right now over Crazy, but he wants to stick with the team and be the front line from the beginning of the fight. Tempt picks up a really nice blue before this fight goes off. Kongdu Monster is going to start that Infernal Drake. Can the steal come down? No! Actually, Soul picks it up. The Weaver's Wall does zone Tempt and Totoro out of this fight, but it doesn't look like Kongdu wants to take a fight after it. They just want to take that Infernal Drake and back off. All that thought, they find a twisted advance onto Crazy, who then bounces away. And Kongdu Monster pick up the Infernal Drake.
And that was just a lot of mispositioning by BBQ. Kongdu had the superior position going into the Dragon Pit, and I mean, they end up picking it up. Soul gets it, so both junglers, a little bit of a failure right there with failing to secure it with the smite. But now BBQ, because bottom lane was so good for them, they push in mid lane, they turn their attention to Baron because they know that they can threaten that with the Mountain Drake and the blue buff on Cassiopeia. But that Infernal is certainly going to do a lot of work for Kongdu the longer that this game goes on.
Yeah, it's definitely very nice. Picking that up is very important for them to keep in this game. I'm curious to see how effective this tank Fizz is going to be later on in the game. It seems like against the Maokai in the split push that he can take pretty good fights, especially because he's netted himself a 50 CS lead.
One of the things that is interesting is that Kongdu didn't look to have an even faster or an earlier accelerated early into mid-game transition, because Maokai being forced to itemize the way that he did into his main core items would have made it so that Fizz would have been a lot more effective, and it really would have bolstered Graves' Cassiopeia's effectiveness inside of team fights, because Maokai couldn't be a frontline tank for his team the way that he would need to be.
Fizz comes out, Crazy is going on in, Ghost is used by Edge though to escape that one. You can see the tank Fizz doesn't have all that much damage.
And I mean, that type of a trade actually makes me question how practiced is Crazy on this champion, because that damage foresight was nowhere close to being able to really threaten a kill or anything onto Edge. It almost looked like he was just seeing what he could get with it. But the Taliyah is certainly very tanky with that magic resistance and HP from the Liandry's.
Yeah, he basically just straight up tanked it and the True Shot Barrage and was still above half health. So we'll have to wait until he gets more items to actually face off against the Taliyah. This really has not been the most exciting game. 1 kill so far in 28 minutes.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
sure
I had to think about that one actually. I had a lot of time to do it because I wasn't, saying many. Didn't have to spend my time saying very many relevant things to the play-by-play because there was none.
I think this game's been extremely exciting. It's been a fantastic game.
I mean,
the only thing I would maybe rather do more is put paint on a wall and watch it dry. I think that is certainly up there with the action-packed game that we've had presented to us. I mean, 1 kill. Yeah. Think about that.
1 kill. At least the kill was cool. Tempt, he put on a show. A couple of, flashy lights going off. Picks up the Lulu kill, who couldn't fight back. Poor girl.
I'm pretty sure I could put on Rebecca Black after this and be completely content. I mean, it might be there, but I think that basically this game unfolds the way that it does because both teams recognize that their early and mid games are very weak, and so they basically said, hey, we're not going to have an early and mid game. We're just going to work straight towards late game and then 1 team fight, and we're done. That's basically what's going to happen, Brendan. And I hope that you're excited for it.
I mean,
we're going to have 1 fight in front of Baron, and that's going to be the end of the game.
I think that might actually happen that way. Like, as much as you're joking, well, I guess you're not joking, because it's definitely looking that way, for sure. I was, maybe if Kongdu was able to pick up the Mountain Drake with the Infernal, they'd just kind of do Kongdu things and say, hey, we want to try to flip a coin on Baron. Let's see if we can do it.
Do you want to know how I know that Edge would never vote for Trump?
Why is that?
He doesn't build a wall.
Yeah, he doesn't.
It's not a part of his agenda. He doesn't care.
He built one, and he was like, well, that's enough. That, like, watching Lucian's recall animation probably was one of the highlights of this game so far.
That's the highlight. You know it's bad when the observer has to highlight CS being farmed.
All right, let's take a look at Crazy versus Roach. Actually, this next Drake is really important. 10 seconds until Mountain Drake. If BBQ get this, Tempt is going to shred that Baron like it's a wave of minions. And actually, look at the response from Kongdu. They're saying, okay, we know that they're going to head towards that Mountain Drake. Let's just start the Baron immediately. And they're delaying it. They're not starting it, actually. They're just, okay, here we go.
Built a wall.
All right, no BBQ members allowed inside. But you can see that without the Mountain Drakes themselves, they're not taking down this Baron too fast. Will it be stolen? No. Actually, Kongdu Monster will be able to pick it up, but a kill already onto Guger. Now Crazy going really deep. Elise was trapped inside. Now Roach is also trapped inside, will be taken out. Trying to help out here. Oh, really nice bubble onto Soul, who will actually be flashed upon by 2 members and taken out. That's 4 kills, or soon to be 4 kills after Roach goes down. And we're left with the question once again, was it worth it?
No, I told you, one team fight in front of Baron. This would be the end of the game. So double Mountain Drake Bless is really putting quite a dent into that turret. Doesn't get it as the Baron Enhanced Recall came out for Edge, but in the end, it's really just not worth it. They might be able to push one wave, but they can't win a team fight. They just expended so many resources to get this Baron. Taking a look at the replay, the teleport came in. They didn't have the Mountain Drakes. They can't burst it down quick enough. It's not inside of their team comp. So it lets BBQ get the Mountain Drake, arrive at the Baron pit. You can see Crazy go in, and he's just so tanky. And then Tempt dealing so much damage to Roach. He gets exhausted immediately as he went on to Ghost, not quite able to lock him up. And then Tempt able to continue on, pick up the kill onto Soul. Couldn't find it onto Edge, but it doesn't really matter. They get 2 Mountain Drakes. The next dragon coming up is going to be Elder. You can guarantee that BBQ can shred that in a matter of seconds. And the only member that still has Baron is Edge, who's going to be forced to stay with this team. It's not like it would be on Roach, who could maybe use it to split push and push back. Let's just let this happen. Brendan right here. Tank on tank. Trinity Force also completed for Crazy.
I was gonna let it happen. Yeah, Trinity Force is interesting. He's adding a little bit more damage into his kit. And we do have this push coming out of Kongdu with the Baron that they do have on Edge. So trying to make something work. And I fear that, well, I guess it's better that we have more than that one Baron fight. Because, you know, Kongdu, they are going to get this turret eventually. Although Crazy is up in front, he is going to knock up Roach. There's the tidal wave too. He's bouncing up and down. In goes Crazy. So much damage being put out. Really nice collateral damage to finish off the kill onto Roach. And now BBQ in a pretty nice spot here, 5v4.
Looks like Crazy's actually just going to head immediately down to bottom lane. That bottom tier 1 turret ready to fall. Now BBQ look like they're rotating to Kongdu's blue buff. They want to try to steal that well away. Soul is just trying to be a hero with how he plays. The wall comes out.
Crazy is down here alone as Roach is still dead. I mean, we've had 6 kills now, but it's still pretty late in this game, you know, 35 minutes in, so the death timers do last for quite a while.
Taking a quick look at this replay right here. The fish landed onto Roach, and then the follow-up tidal wave, and the damage that just comes out of Tempt, absolutely enormous, and then Bless able to finish him off with the collateral damage. Heading back into live, it's only a minute and a half until that Elder Drake spawns. And when it does, Kongdu is under enormous amounts of pressure to somehow pull a teamfight miracle out of somewhere. As if BBQ gets a hold of that, they're just going to go full throttle ahead at Kongdu and shred turrets so quickly that Talia and Lucian, even with his ultimate, is not really going to be able to resist.
They're attempting to push the mid turret again. It's not really happening, as Ghost and Tempt have a pretty good amount of wave clear, and especially if Bless is with them. Oh, look at this. Kind of getting forced on the right side is Kongdu, but they want to take a fight here, actually. Soul eats the ultimate of Tempt like it's nothing, and they kind of take control of their mid lane back.
BBQ just want to stall until that Elder's on the map. Doesn't even matter if they lose mid-tier 1. The buff itself is going to be too strong. You take a look up at top lane, and you notice it is slow pushing into Kongdu. So that's going to line up and synergize with the capture of Elder. And bottom lane is going to be able to be fixed so quickly if they capture the Elder. You just instantly send Crazy over to it, tap the wave. But looks like they're interested in defending their mid-tier 1 for now before moving into the river. Look at the damage.
Oh boy, Punch actually goes on to Crazy and is forced to flash away. Soul is going to cleanse that fish. Redemption coming down here is going to heal up a lot of the members of BBQ, and Soul, he's not healthy enough right now to be in the front line on that Lucian. And as you were talking about before, the easy transition goes straight for the Elder Drake. Tempt is going to be rushing that down so fast. You can see it's already at half health here. Kongdu Monster, I don't think they even have time to get on top of this team. They're going to have to concede it here.
Concede the Elder Dragon. Bottom lane, though, got to push all the way up into that bottom tier 2 turret, so it's going to be a little bit slower. It looks like even some of the members on BBQ are going to recall first. They don't want to make like a waste of this Elder, but Baron is coming up in 20 seconds. They might just look to use it to capture that and then ride the Baron minion waves into Kongdu. They can easily just send Crazy down to bottom lane right now. He has the teleport available. That's a summoner spell that it lets you click on a minion or a ward and teleport to it. Just letting you know that.
Is that so?
Yep.
Oh.
So normally when a
Never heard of
champion, yeah, well, when a champion has that up and they have like a Trinity Force or items meant to raise turrets, normally you put them in a lane that applies pressure and then teleport them into a team fight that you can take. But
look at this Baron.
why
What
do
the
that?
hell?
Yeah, that just went down in blink of an eye.
That, okay. Oh, so Baron buff now with the Elder Dragon buff, and they're going to push it right down mid. Just go ahead and run it down mid. 4 members. They're going to finally send Crazy into a lane that he can teleport from, and also push into the tier 2 up and top. And I don't think there's any way that Rhodes can fight against that Fizz here. And so it means that Soul is going to head top as well. And yeah, the push is going on. Gonna meet up with those minions.
The poke that comes out of Ghost, absolutely enormous. Looks like the bottom wave is slow pushing in, but the lanes are certainly a little bit slower than they needed to be. Crazy now finally on that turret. Look how quick he takes that down.
Yeah, he's gonna get it on this wave. Minions just close enough. Down it goes.
And the issue is that BBQ could have had a member go down to bottom. You don't need actually all 4 to be in mid lane because you have the Nami ultimate, you have the Cassiopeia ultimate, which means that Bless could have just gone down to bottom and they could immediately rotate down to bot anytime a mid lane wave is repelled. But I'm going to give you the honest truth here, their macro is bad.
Yeah. Just let that one sit for a bit.
Just let it sit. They're winning the game, but there's so much more that could be being done. And I mean, without anything else to really talk about, I don't know what else to say. The rotation now down to bottom is going to be delayed, but they're going to certainly be able to raise the bottom tier 2 turret.
It's a pretty massive wave. That's 3 cannon minions. It's gigantic, and they're all Baron buffed here for another minute 20. But they're not being very aggressive with the push. They're just still trying to poke, trying to come from the side, and everything gets cleared up, and that tier 2 turret is still at above half health. Look at that. Crazy's like, okay, I'm going to tap that turret twice, and it's going to die. Forcing a reaction. And there you go. Finally able to push in that tier 2 in bottom lane. not really finding any of their luck on the map. They are not able to push into any of these inhibitor turrets. They're kind of just walking around aimlessly without a goal in mind here with about 30 seconds left on the Baron buff. Roach just trying to keep that minion wave away from the turret for as long as possible. And looks like they... one more hit would do it. Bless decides he doesn't want to. Okay, there we go. And he might actually get caught out here. Cullen coming out. Not quite close enough. Attempt actually trying to go 1v3 here. Actually is decently successful. Now it's Ghost's turn. So they get the turret and everybody backs off as Baron buff does fade away.
Probably going to end up meaning that we wait for yet another Baron or an Elder Dragon. I mean, at this point, BBQ's team composition is just too far ahead and it's too enabled, so realistically, they could just bait Kongdu out into the open and then look to take a team fight via a flank, but not really making too much usage of teleport is either team this match. Continuing to farm up, they're just going to basically complete their items and then get elixirs.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed that Kongdu Monster didn't come out with more of a bang this series. I feel like after the win against KT, a lot of people were looking to see them come in here and actually crush BBQ 2-0 and move on, and it was going to be a fantastic, success story as they come back into summer and crush the relegations. But, I mean, they seem to have a lot of trouble here in a game against BBQ in a series that goes extremely long, and not really the same team that we saw facing up against KT. Not the same amount of resiliency, even as they're losing.
They're trying to fight back a little bit. I mean, we're approaching 45 minutes. Both teams now have enormous amounts of gold, so for the most part, the gold is almost becoming meaningless as, champions approach their 6th item mark across the board. Gold is only really going to be used to resell certain items and buy elixirs at that point. Baron coming up in a minute.
The bunny that comes out of Fizz's ultimate with this skin is the stuff made of nightmares, man. It's like the scariest thing. If you're afraid of clowns, don't look at Fizz when he uses that ultimate. It gives me a similar feeling. Well, Baron is coming up here in 40 seconds, and no doubt both of these teams will look to make a move over there. And finally, Crazy coming down here into the bot lane, trying to push a lane in with his teleport. And I'm very curious to see how Kongdu is going to attempt to fight this Baron.
All they need to do right now is 3-1-1. You have Graves in mid lane, you have Fizz in bottom lane with teleport available. No one on Kongdu can 1v1 the Graves right now. He's actually too tanky and offers too much damage output. The Nami ultimate plus the Cassiopeia ultimate denies the ability for Kongdu to actually go in on you. And it guarantees that you pulsate all 3 lanes into your opponent and have superior vision control.
Well, it doesn't seem like they want to do that right now, as they're kind of letting Kongdu Monster chip away at them. The Crazy actually getting stunned here, knocked back. Lots of damage onto Bless, who can't quite put out the same amount of damage. Ghost, though, fighting back here. Tempt trying to get some poison damage onto Kongdu Monster. Big True Shot barrage. Meanwhile, there is a big wave pushing up into top turret. Doesn't look like Kongdu wants to rotate on over. They're actually just backing off. And Tempt, meanwhile, is going to take care of this wave. We'll see if BBQ, if they want to go for Baron here, as Edge was thinking about recalling, but actually sticks around. Lays down the wall. And there's nothing really that comes out of it. Things might get interesting as the Elder Drake does spawn here too, as teams will have to make a decision.
Well, Elder Drake coming up in 30 seconds. Baron on the map. I mean, they can just light it up so quickly. Look at how quick that's going down. Just cast the Nami ultimate if they really try to come in.
Well, there it is. Exactly what you were talking about. That's all they had to do. It seems like, you know, just a bit of a lack of confidence in the BBQ team as a whole, and also just like a lack of understanding, perhaps, of what their team offers and how far ahead they are. Because I'm not even sure if they had to recall there. They might have just been able to take a straight-up fight afterwards, but they're playing very, very passive with the lead they have. And now Kongdu Monster is able to set up a kind of barricade around the Elder Drake.
Well, with the Baron minions, they can definitely fork Kongdu and basically say, yeah, you can have Elder, but we'll get your Nexus with the double mountain. And at this point, the game timer is too long. The minions now coming in from every lane. Further enabled by the Baron, and BBQ has managed to escort Kongdu back into their main base, and now they're going to say see you later as they head to the Elder Dragon. They're going to be able to kill that instantly, and then with bottom lane looking the way that it does, they can just...
Well, Tidal Wave coming on out, trying to start a fight there. There is the wall. It's actually going to cut off, and Temp disappears. Really nice pick by Edge. Now Crazy, totally cut off from his team, is on the run. He is Fizz. The rest of them are actually going straight for this Elder Drake as Kongdu Monster looks to deny that. Guardian Angel taken away from the Fizz. He's going to attempt to run away here, jump the wall, but will go down as Soul picks up the kill. Now the Elder Drake going over to Kongdu Monster, as a series of unfortunate events for BBQ does take place.
Top turret might actually go down. Ghost trying his best to steal that Elder Dragon away.
Looks like top turret is going to go down, in fact. Last hit does it. Edge is just not fast enough.
You see pings now coming out from Kongdu on the Nexus turrets of BBQ. They might be hoping to just drive it straight up mid lane.
Yeah, this is one of those weird games where one team, even when they're ahead, they get the Baron, but they like make a mistake and give up Elder. And then generally, as we were talking about before, everybody is at full items now. So in a straight up fight, Kongdu is going to be in a pretty good spot with that Elder Drake.
Well, it comes down to Talia versus Cassiopeia and Ezreal. That's really going to be the deciding factor in the fight. Talia is the only thing that can really be offered by Kongdu to provide enough of an opening in the fight. Heavy reliance on her. She has the Weaver's Wall available, so she's with her team in spirit.
Yeah, she's nearby, clearing out the wave here. And Lucian right now, Soul has 560 CS. That's pretty impressive at this point. The Baron buff has faded, or it's about to. And so this next push is going to be the really hard one for BBQ to stop. And Soul is just going to light up that turret, take it down. And now it looks like they're setting their sights up on top tier 2, or at least they were, but Ghost almost gets caught out there. Soul not quite able to do enough damage to chunk them down. Okay, they're actually going to have only Edge go up top with the Weaver's Wall. And there it is, just going to cut off everybody from that turret. They want to get in there, take it down. The teleport onto the turret here from Crazy is going to be canceled as the turret goes down. And now he has to walk all the way back. Cullen coming out, trying to zone them out. But here comes Crazy, and you can see Kongdu Monster just backing off a bit. Not very confident to take this fight. Punch will be forced to repel. Come on down, a bit of burst damage onto him, but he does get healed. As BBQ successfully defends their inhibitor for now.
Defend it one more time, and that probably means there might yet again be another reliance on a Baron or an Elder if both of these teams are unwilling to fight.
You can see taking Baron doesn't always win you the difference in gold, but at this point everybody's full items. You can see Locket now picked up on Guger. And you need to keep that one slot for the control ward, so pretty much they're going to be set for their items.
And in the replay here you can see from a while ago BBQ didn't get the memo that they had double Mountain and Baron, so they probably could have just gone into the Elder Dragon pit with that wave up in top lane that would have clearly killed the turret, but they got caught out, and Edge able to find a miracle for his team, turning that entire thing around, and then he ended up dogging down Crazy. And so here we are, Brendan, in 53 minutes.
We've returned. This looks a lot like where we were 30 minutes ago. And now with all the buffs going down, this really is anyone's game. It's really just going to come down to one team fight. If it goes one team's direction, then that team is basically just going to win. And that's part of the reason why both of these teams are playing so passively. I don't think BBQ's in the running to make it into the wild card. There's not enough games left. And, you know, Kongdu, they just want to be in a better spot than Jenner to potentially have a bit better chance at the relegations. I suppose if Kongdu Monster wins all of their games and BBQ loses all of their games, then maybe Kongdu is out of relegations and BBQ is in. That would be the one scenario I could see that has potential. Okay, here we go. BBQ is going to do the same thing where they try to burst down this Baron as fast as possible, use Nami to disengage. Down goes that Baron. The wall's coming out, and Baron goes over to BBQ. There is the tidal wave. Kongdu Monster, they really want to take this fight, going in onto Bless. The Cullen coming on out. Crazy up in the front, super tanky. Big knock up there by the Lulu, but Roach is going to go down. Huge burst damage, though. Tempt super low. Roach trying to get on top of him. He does take him out. Very low at the same time, though, is Soul and Edge. But they're on the chase. They need to get those kills, but it doesn't look like they can, as only a trade there in 1-for-1. Tempt going down, as well as Roach, and everybody else is going to back up. But at the same time, BBQ does get that Baron.
Kongdu had a beautiful angle of approach in that team fight. They were able to lock everyone down inside of the Baron. See it one more time. BBQ, they burst down the Baron. The Weaver's Wall pins them into the river and the Baron pit. And you can see they're all basically funneled into this pit. So basically the trajectory for everything coming out of Kongdu is way too good. And BBQ are trying to do what they can. But then right there, you can see that they're all just way too much of a sitting duck for anything to happen. Ghost is forced to flash over the wall. Crazy narrowly escapes. And they have the Baron. They're going to lose their mid inhibitor as we come back to live.
Yeah. Roach coming on in. I think I may have misspoke. Maybe it was just the GA that was taken out from Roach, so definitely able to put on these pushes. Tempt is going to respawn right now. We will return to 5v5. But taking out that inhibitor is pretty nice. And now it's really going to be up to BBQ with the Baron to put on a push. You could see there was a ping going on to mid inhibitor of Kongdu Monster. They want to just run it straight down mid as 5. It looks like both bot and top are pushing towards Kongdu. So eventually those will get there, but they're kind of behind. So maybe the timing is going to be a bit off.
They're trying to bring the fight to Kongdu. I mean, with 2 open inhibitors, if they can get both of them, I mean, that alone is enough pressure at this stage in the game. They don't even need any kills as long as they don't lose any. But any team fight at this point, I mean, it's likely to come with casualties.
This game feels like when you have like guests over at your house and it's like 11:30 at night and they just won't leave. You're like, you know, yeah, I'm getting pretty tired, and they're like, oh yeah, let's watch another episode of Death Note. I'm like, yeah, sure. And it gets to like 1 a.m. and you're like, oh man, yeah, I'm really tired. And they're just like, oh, you know, you want to grab a slice of pizza? I'm like, no, dude, just get out of my house. Like, I've had enough. Okay, these 2 teams, they've stuck on the rift for so long, and neither of them seem to have the ability to end the game. And it's gotten to this point now where everybody's 6 items, and it's like every time they have a fight, they're so scared of each other that only one person dies, and then nothing happens. Then they kind of just like run around each other, and nobody's willing to make the big play. And I guess it might come down to the fact that both of these teams don't really have a big star player that's going to jump in there and say, okay, I'm going to take this into my hands, here I go, and, you know, start the fight. And so it's just like these 2 teams that don't seem to know how to engage, and they just won't.
I feel like I'm a kid again watching Goku turn Super Saiyan for the first time. It takes like 5 episodes.
Oh, man. Okay, Elder Drake. There is another opportunity here. And let's see if BBQ will...
I'm just waiting for the point where Kespa pauses the game.
Yeah, they're like, do you guys think this is a stalemate? You know, maybe you guys don't think you can end the game.
That only happened once in a Kespa esport history, right? It was I think it was Flash versus Stork on Blue Storm in StarCraft 1. They asked the players, are either of you going to attack, and they both said no.
Yeah, it happened in StarCraft 2 as well.
Oh man.
Reality versus Sulky on Star Station, 2.5-hour game that went to a stalemate, and then the follow-up game was an hour long. Me and Wolf were casting until like 2 o'clock in the morning that night. Here we go. Elder Drake is up. BBQ, they're scared of their own shadows right now. They don't want to go anywhere near the Elder Drake, even with the double mountain. Okay, here it is going to be started, and they're letting Kongdu in. I want to see where this Weaver's Wall will go, how he's going to try to lock him up. It looks like it's going to go right down the middle. Ghost will get on the right side of it, trying to burst down that Elder Drake. Road's going on in. The tidal wave pushing everyone back, and actually the Elder Drake does lease, and oh man, Tempt gets locked up there. And is he going to be burst down? No, actually a huge amount of shields, and the heal from the Redemption perfectly timed. Bless getting extremely low as well. Roach will be the first casualty, but again, a lot of very low members on the side of BBQ. Soul, is he going to be the man to do it? It looks like no. He will just push them back, and they will turn on to the Elder Drake. Will BBQ come on in? Bless trying to get close. It leases again as he can't take it out. Both of these teams just don't know how to kill an Elder Drake right now. The teleport coming in from Crazy. He's going to have full health. This might mean that, oh man, Bless is going to get it. The Elder Drake is taken by BBQ. Exhaust coming down onto Crazy as Kongdu Monster desperately tries to disengage, but he gets the fish onto Soul.
What a delivery.
Oh man, hugely done there. Crazy on the attack, trying to take down member after member, and finally, it seems like BBQ has had enough, and they end this game with an ace on everybody on the side of Kongdu.
And that is gonna be the game right there. It all came down to that one final dance. Elder Dragon wasn't having any of that, Brendan. He was not interested.
Everybody on the Rift was scared to fight this game. We go over 60 minutes.
Elder Drake said to himself that maybe if I can keep this up, they'll keep fighting with each other long enough.
That I'll survive. Guys, we made it past the 61-minute mark. GG as BBQ takes one of the longest games that we've had here in LCK this season.
I mean, Soul's gonna get the Amazon Prime Award for that ending. He brought that Fizz ultimate right into his team.
Oh yeah.
That was a good thing for BBQ.
I want to see that replay. Cougar looks like he hasn't slept for like 48 hours.
Well, a drink of water.
That's the saddest drink of water I've ever seen.
What a... I can't even imagine the nerves in the final fight, though.
Oh, yeah.
That has to be so big. We'll look at it
which,
one more time. So the teleport came in from Crazy. Bless wins the smite fight, and then just wait for it. Amazon Prime is coming. Here we go. Next day delivery.
Oh, yeah. To be honest, even if he didn't do that, I think this fight would have heavily gone in BBQ's favor, but it was kind of funny to see that happen. That was a good play by Crazy to get out of that fight and identify that he could come back in with a teleport in time. And he had GA too, so once that Fizz came in, I think even if Konu Monster took the Elder Drake, I think BBQ still wins that fight before.
They definitely do. Bless looking super relieved.
As I would imagine now, it means that BBQ has no chance of making it into relegations, and they will be safe. So guys, join us in a minute to find out who our second MVP is, and we will talk to them then.